The Lord has stretched my heart in incredible ways in my first few years of priesthood. But I think what it's been for me is this tension that I experience between being in the world and not of the world, and being totally dedicated to Christ. One of the gifts of diocesan priesthood is that we can be in the midst of the people, in their lives, in their daily lives. We're not just specialists that do this or do that, or we get to see it all. Every day can be filled with multiple stages of life, from baptisms, from marriage preps, to funerals, to these different places where people invite us to enter into the depths of their lives. And so we, with that gift, get to be in the world, but then there's this tension that I'm totally dedicated to Christ, that I'm totally supposed to love him with my undivided heart, and yet I am so tied to everything on earth at the same time. And the priest being able to kind of straddle heaven and earth makes this possible to be the bridge that allows God to connect with man and man to connect with God. And we get to be in the midst of that tension, not actually releasing it and getting rid of it, but living in it. And that is an incredible stretch of both being in the lives of people and being totally dedicated to the Lord.
So the Lord has really stretched my heart since ordination in a unique way, because I was ordained and then 11 days later had surgery on my ankle, which involved a lot more recuperating than I thought before the surgery. I was at home with my family not in the parish, for like 3 or 4 weeks, and it was very frustrating. I couldn't drive, I couldn't walk. I had to be very vulnerable and let other people help me. And so out of that, I definitely felt my heart being stretched toward the homebound, toward the people in the parish who can't get out of their house, who feel that impotence, that lack of independence, and be involved in the parish in any way possible. So I definitely felt my heart grow.
So I think this last 2 years with COVID was really a big challenge because it was unprecedented. We've never had a worldwide pandemic. It provided a lot of challenges. How do we continue our ministry? Churches were closed down, the school was closed down. How do we continue to bring the good news, especially during a very tragic time? And so it provided an opportunity for new ways to minister to people. We had to find ways to do live stream. We did daily messages of hope. We did outdoor masses. We did Eucharistic processions in the neighborhood. We just found ways to reach people in unprecedented times and to continue to bring the good news of Jesus Christ to people in their lives.
I remember telling my parents I would actually entertain the idea of being a priest. But the one thing I know for sure is I don't want to be a teacher, because everybody in my family were teachers. What's interesting is that part of my ministry became teaching at Notre Dame Seminary. And at first I thought it was going to be something that was really difficult for me to do, but now I find I love it. I don't know if you've ever had an experience with a priest where they give you ask a question and they give you an answer and they say, why didn't we hear this when we were young? It would have made me be happier to be a Catholic and to know more about God. And teaching is one of the ways that we learn every day more about this God who created us and loves us. And that has been one of the greatest gifts of my priesthood that I never thought that I would actually experience until I was invited to be a teacher. And really that's part of every priest's life, is to be a teacher.
Just in the nature of my first assignment being at home, the Lord is constantly reminding me, say not that I am too young, say not that I'm not experienced enough, say not that I have all of these reasons or excuses not to be who God has called me to be, because the Lord is equipping me to do all that He has set before me. He knows the plans, and He is stretching my heart and trusting that plan, stretching my heart and being joyful in that plan.
Well, the Lord has definitely stretched my heart in relation to embracing the little things. Little moments with people, what would seem like an insignificant interaction really has a lot of depth to it, really has a lot of power to it in terms of touching people, touching their lives, ministering to them. So definitely, I'm not a detailed person, but the little things are important, and the Lord has really stretched me as to how important it is to take them.
You know, I would say that in my time preparing to be a priest and early in priesthood, I was not as comfortable talking about my own relationship with God, or even inviting people in, just because it was such a very personal conversation. But I think that is the way God has stretched me in my life as a priest. I wouldn't say I'm totally comfortable, but entering into those vulnerable places of myself and of other people's lives and their conversations about their journey of faith, I feel like I am able to go there a little bit more. I think that's how I've been stretched, maybe being more available to enter into the brokenness of people's lives, where early on I would have tried to avoid it as much as possible. And even today, I don't go looking for it, I don't go looking for the woundedness and the brokenness, but I think the way God has stretched me in that is to make me more comfortable to do that, and I think that has helped, has enriched me. But I think that is the biggest stretching of my priesthood in my life, is that God has shown me that I can do that. I can engage people at that very personal level, very vulnerable level, in an effective way and in a way that I can find fulfilling.